So, hello and welcome. My name is Katie Tremulis, and today I have Kelly Nino here. She is with KN Digital Connection. So, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So, tell me a little bit about your business, how long you've been a notary, and how that has been going for you.
Okay, so I've been a notary for over 13 years. I first became a notary when I was working. I was in Fort Myers. That's where I used to live, and I was working for an attorney that was doing construction law, debt collection, and that's how I became a notary.
Mhm.
But fast forward, I had worked for attorneys for over 18 years. And then in 2021, when things, with the COVID, everything changed. And I made a decision and I'm like, okay, let me just go ahead and open my own business. I took a course, a marketing course that I paid like $10,000 for the course because one of the things that I thought, I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm going to become a marketer for law firms. That was my niche,
Mhm.
and it's gonna be awesome. Like, I'm gonna make like 35,000 a month and this and that. And yeah, that did not happen. So I even met with attorneys and I'm like, okay, because one of the things that I realized was that to become a marketer, it was
Mhm.
it's very hard for law firms because the pay per clicks and Google ads, it becomes very expensive. So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay. So I met with attorneys at the BNI event. And I'm like, okay. So I met with each attorney and I'm like, look, why don't I just bring you the leads? I pre-qualify them and then I'll, refer you and then you pay me a marketing fee. They loved it. They loved the idea. What it came down to is that I was putting a lot of money up front and it just wasn't working out for me because in order for you to invest in that, you have to spend a lot of money. So I kept seeing the loan signing system popping up every time and every time. And I was going through a divorce too. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have to put this on hold and
Mhm.
then just do this part and then just use my marketing, whatever I'm learning towards my business.
Yeah.
And that's how the loan signing started. So I started more like in 2022. I took the course, but I didn't really start it until 2023 because
Mhm.
I was working also for an attorney just to, be able to pay the bills and all that stuff. So I was doing the loan signing like once, a week or things like that.
Mhm.
And then finally in mid 2023, I was able to there was an attorney friend of, a friend of friend, whatever, that he was a semi-retired attorney. And he was like, remember that you notarized something for me at that time. He was like, look, how much do you get paid right now? And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, this is how much I get paid. I just want to continue doing my business. I want to keep growing my business. He's like, okay, just come with me. I'm just gonna need you part time, but I'll pay you the full amount, the full time. And I'm like, oh my god, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And it worked out for the next. I worked with him for almost 7 months, but then I started getting busy. I started getting the relationship with the signing service, and I'm like, okay, so he was only using me for 2 hours a day, but then the 2 hours he would spread the 2 hours throughout the day.
Mhm.
So when I was in the signing, I was like rushing, and I'm like, I can't. So that's when I decided, I'm like, okay, so now that I have the relationship with the signing service, I'm gonna go ahead and do this full time. So I've been doing it full time since July. So for over 7, 8 months. The
Congratulations.
good thing about it is that now I'm incorporating more remotely. So
Mhm.
before I was just doing once and here because it wasn't really moving, but I'm like, okay, let me just concentrate on doing this. And then, but now it's just been like, okay, I have a company that has been sending me a lot of like answers to interrogatories, a lot of like legal stuff
Mhm.
that pay you like $30 and it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that a lot. I've been doing a lot of closings from the seller side as well too. So
Mhm.
it's perfect. It's working out so awesome because I like doing physical too. Like I like being in person,
Mhm.
but it becomes already tired afterwards. Like, and sometimes I don't want to leave home. So
Mhm.
now for the past, like I feel like month, it's been like everything is just flowing how I've been wanting to manifest. So like like I could make literally more money. I just don't want to drive too far. So I'm like, no, I'm doing it. I'm creating this
Mhm.
space my way.
Yeah.
It has taken me a little bit longer is because I wanted a certain way. And I'm telling you, for the last month, it's just everything has been working out exactly how I've been, anticipating. So it's like, it was a perfect timing because if you would have had asked me 2 months, 3 months ago, I would have been like, but now it's just like, I feel that everything is just all the energy and all the work that I've been putting into is like, it's, it's awesome. Like, it's awesome. I really, really love it. And eventually I do want to keep doing the attorney connection, but I'm working on other projects, like investment projects, that once I have that capital to go back again and invest in that, that is my main thing. I want to be a nationwide attorney connection, company too. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen a year, 2 year, 5 year. I don't know, but I know that eventually that's my next project.
For then, just to be clear, an attorney for closings or like
No,
or
so
for your marketing?
for marketing,
Right.
right? So
Okay.
in order for you to refer a lead to an attorney, you cannot call it referral because the state bar doesn't allow you. If you have to be under an umbrella, under an attorney's umbrella or law firm umbrella in order to practice that, because it's considered, only attorneys to attorneys could refer. So you call it marketing fee. So
Okay.
you're marketing for them. And actually had one marketer that he was doing that. He was putting money up front. He was, taking 10 minutes, and then they will connect the attorney and they will pay you, but I just, financially I couldn't do it at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's really, really exciting that you decided to go all in on
Yeah.
doing the notarizations.
Yeah.
Do you have like a typical, have you been keeping track of revenue?
Yes. For the last since October, that's when I started keeping track, because I started, seeing more of the movement. So I'm getting closer now to 6,000 a month, which this is crazy, but my goal is $1,000 a day. That's like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how it's going to be, because I want it to be effortlessly and, and this and that. And I want it like this. And if you talk to anyone that is like so close-minded, they're going to be like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I know it's capable. I know, because I had already a $700 day, so I know, and there's been times that it's been stressful, but there's times that I'm like, it works out. My schedule works out so perfect. So I know that that's eventually my goal.
So you said that you've already done like a $700 day. How many closings or how many remote?
I think that $700 day was 3 in person, and then the rest of it were remotely. Because I don't know how people could do more than 7, 8 in person. Like, I have no idea. I'm like, my head's, I'm like, I can't, because I need at least an hour in between, because I need to, like,
Yeah.
yes, because it gets, sometimes Ron's the other day I had a 40 minutes with this couple. And they were like complaining the whole time because they had to DocuSign, their documents. And then at the end, they end up saying like, no, I'm just going to have a notary come over after I spend 40 minutes, so there are times things like that are going to happen that are out of your hands. And, and one of the things that I also been focusing a lot in the beginning was, okay, little things that were happening in between, like little, mistakes here and there. Okay, how do I avoid that mistake? Things are going to pop up, new things are going to pop up, but I'm like, I'm minimizing, I focus more on time than the money. Before I was focusing more on money than the time. Since I started focusing more on the time, everything was like, boom.
I admire the way that you have your mindset. So
Yeah.
because that's the same thing. Like, it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
For some of the goals that like I have heard other people say, where they're like, they almost want to whisper it, where it's like, I want to make like X, way, $500 a day. It's like, you can, you can,
yeah.
You can say it louder.
Right. And you don't know how it's gonna happen. Like, I was when I was doing this marketing thing, they were literally gonna pay me $300 for each lead, which to them is like nothing, because how much does a case cost to them? So for nothing. So I'm
Mhm.
like, perfect. I'm gonna be making, oh my God, like all this money. And then I realized that the loan signing system has given me, like, I didn't do it from that part, but I've been doing it from here. And
Mhm.
one of the things that I went to the San Diego conference, and we were talking at some point about, going direct and going signing. I have one direct now.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
and yeah, I have my one direct. But one of the things that I remember telling Melina, I'm like, I like my freedom. So
Mhm.
I feel maybe that's a limiting belief still that I need to work on. But I
Mhm.
feel that you have more responsibility when you're direct,
Sometimes,
and
yeah.
that that they depend on you, and you don't want to be sending clients, but
Mhm.
it works out with whoever, because it could work out for you, and you might be able to have the relationship with title and be like, hey, I'm out of town, I'm going to send you a notary, this and that, and it works out for you.
Mhm.
I just maybe 4 months, 5 months down the line, if I start getting more directs, I have no other choice. It was meant to happen this way.
Yeah.
But I feel like with the signing service, even though, you still get a little bit of cut, but to me, it has worked out.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're making that revenue from the signing service,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that sometimes people think that you can't make a living off of being a notary. Um,
Yeah.
and that has been one of the biggest things for me to
Yeah.
navigate, like how's the general attitude when people ask you like what you do for a living? Like how do they respond?
No, I mean, I actually have more signers sometimes
Okay.
asking me, like, what is it that you're doing? I end up
Yeah.
sending links. Like, I
I
already
love
have a
that.
template of links of, like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is,
Yeah.
then you got this and that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have more signers asking me, it's like, oh, I've, for my wife, or for me that I'm almost retired, or what I could do
Okay.
on the side. Yeah.
So it's kind of shifting where people are like, okay, I see what
Yeah.
you're doing. Let me do it too. So,
Right, right, right,
okay.
right, right,
Okay.
exactly. And this, in the beginning, this becomes very lonely, because
Hmm.
you're doing this, and you're doing it in a very high standard, like, of what you want. People don't understand that about you. There could be, in the beginning, there could be, I mean, I had a 1 month that was a $2,000 month,
Hmm.
and it was like, I know it's going to get better.
Yeah.
But if you're with someone that doesn't understand that, they're going to be like, okay, you have to give up. And to me, it's never been an option of giving up. Like, I completely gave this completely 100%.
Hmm.
When I got divorced, my mom said, is like, come live with me. We have 2 rooms here, just pay off all your debts. And thank God, to this business, I paid off all my debts. I was able to pay off everything. And so now I'm just using this towards, my next projects of investment, stuff like that. But so I'm very grateful for everything. But it's been because I created my own system. It's like I have 2 witnesses that they're doing training with me. So I call them every time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I always tell them. And I'm like, you create your own system. You create what is going to work for you. Don't let anyone tell you. Like, I don't get into Facebook groups or I don't start reading Facebook groups that they're negative
Yeah.
things, because it's just like, at the beginning, I was just like, no, it's like whoever it's, but so you have to be kind of compassionate, because there are people in the beginning that they don't know. you know
Hmm.
you're always going to make one simple mistakes is going to, but that's how you're going to learn. Like,
Yeah.
I learned so much throughout doing this, than what I learned in the last 13 years of being a notary,
Hmm.
working for attorneys.
Yeah. Same thing where I was a notary for 10 years. I made $0
Yeah.
because I was just at a bank and
Yeah.
I didn't really understand. And then one social media post, it was like, yeah, you can make $150. And I was like, scam. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I wish that I would have done this 10 years earlier.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But the timing is perfect. Like, for
Mhm.
example, when I when Melina asked me, it's like, oh, you're going to the conference, and I'm like, no, no, no. I thought you had to be making six. I'm like, I'm not making 6 figures yet. And he's like, no, you don't. You don't have to be making 6 figures. How much are you making? And I'm like, okay. I told her, I'm like, this month I made 5,000. No, 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 you're good.
Yeah.
So she was like, okay, the tickets were sold out. And I'm like, okay, oops. And she was like, put it on Facebook, put it on Facebook, and right. And I'm like, okay, I put it on Facebook, nothing. Like a week and a half later, someone had to cancel their trip. So they
Hmm.
had everything paid off. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going.
Yeah.
And it has been a blessing because she put me into contact with a lot of signing service. So I'm doing, I don't know if you know Irene Rueda with Phoenix Notary. So I've been doing a lot of work for her. Like I'm doing a lot of bronze for her too.
Oh, yeah.
One of the girls that I met, one of the ladies that I met in over there in San Diego, she lives in Fort Myers, actually, as a matter of fact. And she has this contract with their subcontractor, I think, for windows. And so she contacted me recently. She's like, hey, they're doing work in West Palm Beach. I'm doing them remotely. But a
Hmm.
lot of the times, if they tell me, no, it's too much of a hassle, I have to go in person, but you could work your own schedule. So I
Hmm.
just spoke to the CEO of the company, and they're going to give me all those notice of commencements to notarize notice of commencements. Yeah.
Like this is the thing is like as soon as and like for anyone on the fence, just talk to people. Talk to literally everybody,
Yeah.
like your notary stuff, because the same thing.
Yeah.
I've had like random ways of making money that I would never have known about. And
Yeah.
I was talking to Kelly, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, you can do XYZ with law firms." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it uncovers like talking to different notaries uncovers so many opportunities."
Right. No, and it's awesome. But I mean, because the fact, the thought that she just thought about me and calling me and putting me in contact, it was like, and the work that I've been doing for this signing service that I was introduced by, Lena over there in San Diego, it already paid off, my trip.
Yeah.
So to me, it's an investment when you go to places like that.
Hmm.
And so it is very important. It is very important to continue education. It is important to events. I should be more, I should go out more and socialize more. I'm a little sometimes in my own bubble, but I'm in my own bubble because I'm like, okay, I'm like always going to the next step and the next step and the next step and then the next step.
Hmm. Hmm. I think there's always seasons. Like for me, once I get a little bit like at the next level and everything is a little bit more normal for me, I'll go out
Yeah,
and kind of network a little bit more, find new
yeah,
opportunities, and then be like, oh, this is all the work that I have to do. Stay at
right.
home, do all the work. Like so it's always
Yeah.
a cycle. Yeah.
In the beginning, when you're used to making, I don't know, I was making out a law firm like overtime 30 something dollars an hour. So
Hmm.
when you're making more than $100 an hour, you're like, then you have another problem, which is breaking that limited belief, that the abundance of like feeling like you deserve that because you know what you're worth. So I have to break into that. That was another phase that I have to go through.
Hmm.
And I now I'm like, okay, so when I now that I'm working direct with this title company,
Hmm.
they already have everything printed. All I have to do is show up, but my fee is still the same.
Yeah.
And I had to be in this position where I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with my fee, regardless if I print or not.
Hmm.
And I remember this one time Melina said that is like, there's times that where, you're having to buy your package and it's like 180 pages and then you have to print another set. But then there's also seller packages where like 17 pages and it's in and out and it's $100. So that is one thing that I have to be like, it is what it is. It comes, there's some runs. There was one run one time that it took me 2 hours
Yeah.
and it was in Philippines because and then the sister was here working in the hospital with the camera hidden trying to translate. So how are you not going to feel bad after an hour? It doesn't become about the money. After an hour is like, no, you want to get this done.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
becomes a challenge. You're like, no, we're closing this today.
Yeah. Well, I think that is one of the other things is that like sometimes for us as notaries and especially
Yeah,
like I can see it like anytime that we've worked together is like you
yeah,
almost have to be a bulldog about
yeah.
getting the notarization done. And like to be clear, I don't mean convincing the signers to do anything, but it's just like, if there's tech issues, if they have like,
Right.
like being patient and going through it,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like one of the things that I learned for this last couple, every time that I have elderly people, they always have someone next to them. These
Yeah.
people did not have. They were already came frustrated already because they couldn't do the DocuSign.
Mhm.
So they were apologizing the whole time. They were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. This and that." And I'm like, "I understand." But there is a time where it becomes is like, okay, so now I'm like, okay, so how do I avoid this to
Yes.
happen again? Now I know that, hey, if you have someone next to you, that'll be great. Here I always send the steps or whatever. Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't read it. Sometimes I'm like, please log in 5-10 minutes before. 90% of the times they don't read it.
Yeah.
So those are the things that it's like, okay, hey, I text them really quick, hey, can you please log in, let me know as soon as you log in. I'll log in. Before
Mhm.
I used to log in 10 minutes before and wait there and then another 10
Yeah.
minutes. So
Yeah.
those are things that you kind of adjust yourself, because remember what I told you, I focus more now on time than
Mhm.
actually,
The,
but
the money aspect. Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Well, also like especially for Ron, like I just did an interview with Monique. I think we've been in the calls and everything, but she did a 15 session day online. But
Okay.
it was like absolutely insane as far as how much work had to go into it, and then like
Okay.
the time frames, like if you get it down to time frames, so like doing the work as
Yeah.
learning the software, prepping the clients, doing everything.
Right.
If you can do a notarization in 10 minutes, you can
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So that has been something where people are like, well, I don't want to learn it until I have the work. And it's like, well,
Right.
you're not going to get the work until you do
It,
the
yeah.
work. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
There are two notaries which I adore. Like they're so that we met in San Diego, and I actually gave her like a 10-15 minute training because they finally decided it's like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, I'm not a trainer. I'm just
Mhm.
gonna tell you what not to avoid,
Yeah.
certain mistakes. If you
Mhm.
want to train, because they already did the training with, Blue Notary, they already did that part. They're just scared to like, so I kind of make it to where it is like, okay, do this so you don't have to go through that. Do this so you don't have to go through that. So that is just my way of them, and I actually had, well, this is actually very important, that it's kind of like a way to tell someone to go into Ron. So I work sometimes with this signing service that he does all his Ron, but when he goes out of town, I cover for him.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of like private lending, private lender money and stuff like that. So one of the signers passed away. And so now the underwriter's requesting a proof and affidavit that I notarized them. And
Mhm.
I told him, and I'm like, hey, it was via remotely, and I actually have the recording. He's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's perfect. That's awesome. So I
Yeah.
created like a Dropbox with everything. I downloaded the driving license. I downloaded. I remember I've been doing already, I don't know how many runs. And I remember that was like one of the most difficult person in the world to do it. And everything was there, everything. And I'm like, they loved it, they loved the fact that they were able to now tell the underwriter this happened,
Yeah.
this really happened. So
Yeah.
that is like, I believe Ron is the way
Uh-huh.
that it's going to happen. It's just going to, eventually lenders are going to have no other option than to go with it.
I definitely think so too.
Yeah.
I had the same thing happen, but a little bit different. And it was a law firm
Mhm.
that reached out to me, and they were like, I had to be careful with it because the law firm was not associated with the signing. So I couldn't actually
Mhm.
provide any of the information that they were asking for.
Mhm.
They were like, hey, we need the recording for this signing. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I had to reach out to the title company. I'm like, hey, this
Uh-huh.
isn't the law firm that is asking. Apparently, that woman that was doing the notarization deposited the funds into an account that she shouldn't have. And so she was trying to say that she wasn't the one that did the notarization.
Oh my goodness.
There was a law firm that was basically trying to represent the other party that should have gotten some of those proceeds. And so I basically had to say, like my statute, like I will comply. My
Yeah.
statute says that I can only give these types of, like this type of proof unless, the signer says that it's okay or that you were directly, contracted. So the title company,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
like always try, like for anyone that's listening, if there is someone that asks for the documentation or like a recording, just make sure that that person is okay to get that, like, get that in writing from either the title company or the signing ser or the signing
Okay.
service. Yeah, because I was like, I'm so sorry. I do not want to say no to you.
Yeah,
But I
exactly. No, I remember I reached out to the guy,
yeah,
who referred me that case, and I'm like, hey, I don't know if I'm,
yeah,
and so he did the investigation, like he called
yeah,
the mortgage company and this and that, and he told me, yeah, you're okay with that, and I'm like, okay,
yeah, yeah.
here is, and there was a law firm involved in that because when the mortgage, I think he's the mortgage or the escrow officer, he reached out to me and I'm like, please send me an email.
Yeah.
And it's like the law firm, can you please see the law firm as well? So
Yeah. It was
sometimes you just have to make,
I was like almost shaking sending the email that I was like,
yeah,
hey, as much as I'd love to do
yeah,
this, well, you have to reach out to this company to be able to kind
right.
of figure that out.
But, it's one of those things that I'm like, I always pray that everything in every situation that I am, it's takes me out of any,
Yeah, harm's way. Well, oh, the other thing is that when I was the like this is why I brought this up. The person obviously was there. And so it was nice because I did have the video recording where if I were to do it in person, sometimes, like we do so many notarizations that I'm like,
yeah,
I don't remember the thing that I did yesterday, and to
yeah,
accurate thing of me asking the questions, having her hold up the
yes.
ID, like,
Oh
so
my God. Yeah,
right?
yes, yes, yes. And the fact that it happened with this lady, it was
Mhm.
like, I am so glad it was recorded
Yeah.
because I know how much it was a quick claim deed. So I
Mhm.
know how much time, like she was just complaining the whole time that she had to sign it. Not that she had to, now that she had to sign it, she was just like, oh, why do we have to do it this way? This and
Yeah.
this and that. So the
Mhm.
whole thing was recorded,
Yeah.
So it's like we know that she did it. And I
Yeah.
had her hold it, the driving license and this and that. And but yeah, I mean, we like the other day I was doing the signing for a lady that she was in a nursing home. I don't really like I have my ways,
Yeah.
like I like going to nursing homes. I don't
Mhm.
go to jails, I don't, those are not my, I don't like going into hospitals,
Yeah.
and I had this one, I didn't even know it was a nursing home, I had already accepted, so I have to go. So
Yeah.
what I did is that the friend was the one that was doing the POA on
Mhm.
her behalf, but she had to sign one document. So
Mhm.
what I did is that, hey, is that okay if I could just take a picture from behind
Mhm.
her signing? So
Yeah.
that is just for me. So
Yeah.
that's just for any, in the future records, that I have that.
Yeah, yeah. I always try and cover like any of the contingencies, but I do think that
Yeah.
is a better way of doing that.
Yeah.
So okay, have you started to market your services directly to law firms for notarizations yet?
I did that in the begin, well, no, like last year I did started sending emails to law.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really getting any response.
Mm-hmm.
The law firm that I worked, I did send them an email and say, hey, this could be a way to like remove some of their. So they have a department that is taking, it's like just follow up, and that is like one thing that I have to do. I have to follow up with them,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
like, hey, But
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
haven't. Yeah, I haven't. I should. Yeah, but I haven't done it.
Well, I mean, I think sometimes as business owners, like it's easy for everybody else to be like, well, you should be doing X, Y, Z. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's like, I'm doing the best that I can.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I haven't
Yeah.
learned, X, Y, Z, but it's always funny, like the different
Yeah.
systems that you have to learn. And
Yeah, and like we were saying, it's like everybody has their own way and their own system. Like you, I remember you mentioning you don't like doing physical
no,
science anymore. You do all runs, and
yeah.
I like doing both. I don't like driving to 4 different signings a day. Now that I'm getting a little bit more, the run. Now I'm like but in the beginning I had no other option. I'm like, okay, this
Yeah.
is it. Because every time and I was trying to do the run, nothing was popping up. I'm like, okay, so this is what it is.
Yeah.
And some notaries, they say like, oh no, I don't want to deal with Ron at all, and it's okay. That's what they choose to
Mhm.
know. And so yeah, that's why it's so important to just find your own way, your own system of, of doing things the way you.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing, and I really liked the way that you said it, is that this industry and like this job can really fit around your lifestyle
Yeah.
because like you know how much I like to travel, and so
Yeah.
I
Me
sometimes
too.
felt like it like I feel like I have a cheat code now because
Yeah.
anytime that I wanted to do the notarizations, like if
Yeah.
I am not in Florida, I can't, but now I can just offload all of the Ron work to,
Right, right. And like
different notary.
I'm slowly persuading my daughter into
Hmm.
my daughter's already she's gonna be 20. She's going to law school. I mean, she's doing a lot of schoolwork right now, but
Hmm.
I've been pretty, planting the seed on her. And I'm like, hey, so she's like, okay, I will do it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pay for everything. And I'm like, okay, so you could become a notary. So that is eventually that is my ultimate goal. And I'm like, you could
Mhm.
literally make with one signing what you're making. So, but I have to also let her,
Mhm.
find her own way. But this is like, okay, this is my backup plan, just in case.
Yeah. Well, I try and get my cousins. So like my cousins are entering the workforce and everything like
Oh,
that.
okay.
And I'm like, you can do this with me.
Yeah,
I will show you everything. Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
like you have a good resource here. Like
Yes,
I
yes,
can
yes,
show you
yes.
everything.
No, and I also had, well, Maria with her daughter Emily. You did
Yeah, yeah,
an
yeah.
interview. I didn't know. Oh my God, it's funny because I have been dealing with Maria. Like I've been doing a lot of work with Maria, and then one
Uh-huh.
time she mentioned Emily, and I don't
Hmm.
know what was it that I was trying to get her address.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I seen her. Katie one time interviewed her. I'm like, oh my God, that's her daughter.
Yeah.
And we were talking the other day. She's like, "Oh my God, she's getting married." And yeah, she's getting married. Like I think at the end of this year. And she was like, "I'm gonna have to close the business because I don't want to deal with it. Like it's only her and and
Oh,
that is like that one thing that I'm like, I don't want to live like that neither.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't want to live where like my business is dependent on me
Yeah.
to move, and there's some people that they just hustle even if they're on vacation, and that's okay. And they love that. And it's okay with that. They're okay with that. I'm like, I know what I want. And I love traveling. So like I don't care about luxury. I don't care about $1,000 person. But
Yeah.
when I travel, I love to travel.
Yeah.
I love to try. Like I don't want to be, budgeting, and that I fortunately I learned it from my ex-husband. That was like one thing that he used to be like, oh, we're not gonna be in a budget.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things that I learned. And I'm like, yeah, when you're traveling and you're, as far as well if you haven't, but yeah, I don't want to create a business where it depends on me. Like if the business is not, but that's why I'm allocating my income right now into other projects that are gonna create that cash flow and income, the streams of income.
Yeah. Well, that was like one of the, I mean, back in 2020, like, when I was just now a single mom, I was like, how do I, come on, Braden, be so smart, like figure out something that like,
Yeah,
if my little gets sick or, whatever, if I was
yeah,
working at a regular job, I would be like, you know,
yeah.
up a tree. So now it's like
Right.
if he's sick, I can just be like, Kelly, can you take all of these?
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So,
exactly. And to have someone that you rely on, and that is like that one thing, like that witness that he's been going with me, and he's like, it's so hard, like, for them to go you as a preferred. No, I got in contact with Calvin with Comfortable Closings and Melina, and I'm like, hey, he's been witnessing, so they put him as a
yeah.
preferred notary now.
Yeah.
So those are the things, those are the relationships that you're like, you start building. So
Mhm.
now when you have a trusted person, that he's like, okay, I could go away and here you are, and, take care of it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to even check if it's right. I know it's going to be right. So
Mhm.
that is like, you ultimately, that's where you want to get to, and I think bringing my daughter into this
Yeah.
will be a very
Good.
great thing but I don't know, that is like that one little thing that I don't know when is going to happen.
Yeah, like continue working on it. Like, because
Yeah.
I even wanted like other members of my family to do it, and I'm like, you guys, thank
Yeah.
you so much. Like, obviously there's the cons. Like there's
Yeah, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
where it's like, this is terrible and I don't want to
Yeah.
learn this, or I don't want to. But in general, like I cannot find another job. Like
Yeah.
would be this flexible.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
absolutely insane. So
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, that closing that I told you about, my daughter was the witness. So she
yeah.
was like, at the end, she was like, "Oh my God, that lady." So she was traumatized. She was
Yeah.
like, I mean, she had witnessed like two other after that,
Hmm.
but that one,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is not all the
Yeah.
time.
I think that's like another thing is that I, even as a seasoned notary, or like when people are first starting out, like if they have one that's like absolutely terrible, they're like, I'm never doing this again. And then
Yeah.
you gotta just kind of move past it. You're gonna have, like, even now, I
Yeah.
think terrible ones sometimes, and
Yeah.
for not my fault, but it just happens. And
Right. Right.
you just kind of gotta push through it and then go on.
Yeah.
And then the next one is like a 5 minute one, and I'm like,
Exactly.
yeah. So it all washes out. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And then I mean, I had days where I had 4 or 5 signings and everything is just boom, boom, boom. And then I had, out of the whole week, I had one day which everything was just like,
Yeah.
everyone was complaining, it's like, it comes with the territory.
Yeah. It's like when there's a full moon. It's like, what's going on today? Yeah.
And
So
it's funny because it happened around that full moon. That's what I'm like,
I
oh my God, everybody in the world. And I'm like,
I know. It's like, yeah.
no.
But obviously it's worth it. But I'm really proud of
Yeah.
you for
Thank you.
that's really exciting because we've been talking since when you said 2023. I was like, oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
We've been
Yes.
friends for that
And
long.
I still, and a lot of like tips that you taught us, I
Hmm.
still use them. Like
Good.
the check marks, like when they have
Yeah.
the questionnaires, like I always think of you because you were the one that gave those all those ideas, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, well,
yeah,
good. If people are looking to work with you, plug
yeah.
yourself. Do you speak any other languages? Like, what is, like, how do we find you? What services or what areas do you service? Everything like that.
So I speak Spanish.
Hmm.
Spanish is actually my first language,
Hmm.
and English. Those are the only two languages I speak.
Hmm.
And usually, yeah, my website. I mean, usually a lot of people that reach out to me is because it was word of mouth. Is that how you say it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just email me and be like, "Hey, can you cover this?" Or I have already done a closing for them, so they reach out to me via email. Is the
Mhm.
best way. I actually have a 561 number, but I have it under an app.
Okay.
And for some reason, it just never goes through. And I try sending a text and it doesn't go through. So
I can put your information in the description box below this for the
yeah,
YouTube,
yeah, yeah,
our
yeah,
YouTube, so that way in case anyone
yeah,
wants to.
yeah, yeah. I'm very, very, very familiar with a lot of like legal
Yeah.
documents.
Hmm.
Obviously, I can't advise the legal documents, but I do a lot of like motions for child support, interrogatories, discovery, which are the ones that they have to answer with the court. So I
Hmm.
do a lot of those notarizations,
Okay.
now and before.
Yeah, so if you are a signing service that is looking for a very, very good notary that can do both loan
Yeah.
signings or litigation or legal, uh,
Right.
Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been notarizing a lot of affidavits for law firms too. So like the affidavit.
It's
So representative from like insurance company, I can't say the insurance company, but
yeah.
representative from insurance companies that they have to, I guess they were adjusters at some point.
Mhm.
So they have to like put an affidavit together. So the law firm just sends it over, and that's what
And
I.
yeah, yeah, I have some, I think, from some of the fairly larger insurance
Yeah.
companies. They're like, hey, Katie, it's like another one got sent over. Like, can we do
Yeah.
it really quick? Those ones for like, if you get in with a law firm that does those, for anyone listening, it's really, really nice because typically, like at least for me, when I'm working with a representative from one of the larger insurance companies, after they do it the first time, they already know how to do it, and then it's like
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
quick, and I love it.
Those are the best because
Yeah.
I have noticed that lately because sometimes they don't answer. So I'm like, one of my so I want to share this too.
Mm-hmm.
It's important too how you create a structure of how you follow up,
Mm-hmm.
because that way it's so organized. Like, so
Yeah.
for example, I send emails every time when
Mm-hmm.
there's a run, just because I want to confirm that that email is correct. And then I wait like 10-15 minutes. If I don't hear from them, I call them.
Yeah.
Before, I was calling them, and and this and that, and then I wasn't verifying, and then it happened that the email wasn't correct, and I had sent the link, and things like that. And one of the things that I have seen with the adjusters is that you send an email and they don't respond at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, you can't even call the number because the call is the 1-800 number
Yeah.
for the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I send the link, then they log in. So those are things that I'm like, and they log in and it's like boom, boom, because they already done it before. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is completely true what you just said. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it is awesome. It's awesome.
The
Yeah.
repeat clients, I'm like, I love you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And,
Everything
but that comes to show you that when everything pays off,
mm-hmm.
all the work and energy that you put into something, eventually it had no other choice that becomes flourish. Like it has to
Yeah.
become true, like it has to flow, and it has to, as long as you're so focused on, and so how do you say this, like, so
Disciplined
that you
or
discipline and
yeah.
know what you want,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
everything, it's gonna work out.
Yeah, yeah. And like that's the same thing is when I wrote stuff down, like I had a mentor that was like, write everything that you want in your life down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, sounds kind of lame, but
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it was nice because then it organized my thoughts and I was like, this is what I have been like in my mind. I
Yeah.
was striving towards like a certain number and I was like,
Mhm.
no, I want a certain amount of time frame with my family.
Right. Mhm.
So it was nice because then I was like, okay, these are my actual goals, like not a number.
Right.
It's, it's a lot different. So,
Yeah.
it's that's
Yeah. And that is like super, super, super important. Like, for example, I had occasions where I know I don't go further than, I don't know, 6 miles, 7 miles, or I don't go to certain areas. And then the times where I have put it out to the universe, like, no, I don't want to. The times that I have done it, like the times that I have picked it, it's like something happens. Like,
yeah,
at the end of the day, it gets resolved. But I'm like, so now I know, and I'm like, okay, Kelly,
this
remember
is gonna
last
be
time that this is what happened, and yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's funny too though, because sometimes like I've had things just like, doors absolutely close in my face and I'm like, that
Yeah,
was terrible. Why did
yeah,
that
yeah,
happen? And then like now I'm kind of like I'm on this, I'm on this boat
yeah.
whether I want to or not, and everything is always working out in
Right, right.
favor. Like, all right, I
Yeah,
don't know why that happened, but like I'm excited to see what's next. So,
yeah. And it works out in a
mhm.
whole different way that you weren't even expecting.
Yeah.
And it's like with what I'm telling you with the marketing,
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make 250, for each lead and this and that, but I had times where I made, like, now with this direct client, like, they're doing a buyer and a seller that same day, so
Yeah.
that's 150 and $135, right there and then, and it comes down to, you know do you want to negotiate because you're printing or you're not printing? No, you're negotiating because you know the value that you give,
Mhm.
at the table, whether you're sitting there and just notarizing, or whether you're being on time, or, reliable. Like, they asked me, do you go to Port St. Lucie? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I, so those are things that if you know, that's
Non-negotiable.
what, yeah, the non-negotiable.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really
No,
appreciate it. And I like it. This was like a little reunion because I was like,
yeah.
yeah.
I know.
So, yeah, but thank you so much. I will leave the all of your information in the
Okay.
description box below. So that way people can, reach out for the signing services or any law firms, title companies looking for
Okay.
great. So
Oh,
thank
thank you so much, Katie, for having me.